Hello and welcome to the second video that will be covering the G.O.D. Pogchamps chess tournament. It is a game, so today's game features me against Nathan. Nathan is like the third highest rated player in the tournament. I'm the first highest rated. And yeah, so we are going to see what happened in this game. As you can see, his accuracy is actually higher than mine, and I played some very bad moves in here. I actually knew that they were bad, I just wasn't taking the game seriously, so I did some stupid stuff, but you'll see that later. Alright, so let's begin. So we started out with pretty standard stuff. This is just what I play against e4. Most of the time I also do play the French sometimes, which is just e6. I think next time, because you play in this tournament, we're playing every person twice. So next time I play him, I think I'll probably have the white pieces, I think, but if not, then I am definitely going to play the French instead because I did not like how the opening turned out. Because of this, we got to this position where he castled, and that's one of the things that I hate the most in the G.O.D piano, because it's a very equal game in which it's just very quiet. There's not a whole lot that goes on, and yeah, this here right here. So he moved his bishop here. Taking was not too great since it would appear to hang a pawn. It doesn't really mess it up too bad, but I am down some material, although it doesn't give too much of an advantage. I castle. Alright, so right here, you'll see he used like a full minute on this move. And I actually thought he was thinking of doing this, which I knew was not a very good move. So I just took it. And then the game progresses from here. He plays knight e4. I play knight g6, preferring, rather than taking this pawn, which I thought was maybe a little greedy, I thought this, look, see, the computer even says this is slightly better. I just liked it. It was a safer option for me. And I was not trying to throw the game. Nathan plays queen d2, best move, targeting this weak h6 pawn. I play king g7, which wasn't the most accurate. I forgot to pay attention to the fact that he can then play queen c3 check and further weaken my position by forcing me to play f6. I wanted to not move the f pawn to f6. That was just not a thing I wanted to do. d4. Yeah, I was just waiting for him to take this bishop, but he never did. So plays d4. I come back to a7. He plays h1, I guess just making a spot for his king. I played knight f4 with ideas of maybe one day sacrificing here. Not yet, because that's not too great, but... Oh yeah, and also, obviously, in case it wasn't clear, I'm threatening this 4. Rook fe1, best move. And I played king h7, just trying to get my... because I was trying to line up a big attack on his king. So I was just trying to get my king off of the g-file so my rook and my queen could one day go to the g-file. Queen e3. Yeah, this move it just lets me pick up the e5 pawn, d5 pawn with tempo on the queen. He goes back to d3. No, he just goes to d3, and those, So f4 would have been better here. During the game, Wallace was saying, like, Bryce, you better not play this or that because that would be stupid because you're like going for a draw or whatever. That leads to mate in 2 because of like this double check. So I'm in check by 2 different pieces and I'm forced to move my king. And anywhere I move it, I'm going to be mated. So yeah, I did not play that. I played bishop f5, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world, but it does allow knight h4, which removes the majority of my advantage. Nathan did not play knight h4. Yes, he did. He played knight h4. I forgot that he played knight h4. I should have played just f5. I was actually looking at f5, but I decided bishop f5 was what I was going to play. All right, and here's where I made big dummy dumb move. I played rook g8 because I knew this was bad because even if he can just take here, and my plan was to sack here, and then if he takes, then I would just go here and win his queen. But he could just, after I take, like move to h1 and he'd be perfectly safe. So, I was throwing. I did not really, for some reason, I didn't feel like taking the game seriously. So, I played rook g8, just doing it for whatever reason I did. I take on g2, and then Nathan gives up the advantage back to me and allows me to win his queen. And now we have about an equal game. So here, d5, I failed to realize the absolute terrible state of my pieces. Nothing is developed. This bishop's on a terrible. It's not touch. It's not attacking anything really, and it's just a terrible thing. And then after d5, like it was telling me to just get my queen out of there, get my rook over to this file, just get my rook free. But I played d5, which was a mistake. He moves back to the best square, just gluing his knight to this outpost. And here I realized there's a lot of threats. And then I played king g6. I didn't feel like calculating really. So I played king g6. I figured I can just run, and I didn't calculate the literal just checkmate that could happen, which is, of course, this. No, it's this, this, this. I'm forced here, and then this. Nasty checkmate. And that is what would have happened if I did not play queen g8, which was not a bad move. And again, I don't know. I mean, this is a pretty hard move to find. I don't know if I would have found it, but it just traps my king in a prison. I can't go anywhere. But also, main reason why that works, the idea is to go knight h4. And yeah, that would be mate, because the only thing that's stopping him from playing knight h4 now is that I would be able to move up. So f4 would have been best and would have won the game, but decides to trade. So we've traded all our pieces now. And so this is even position. I can tell that already, but I like my position a little bit because I have the easier to play position because he's got the doubled pawns, which are very hard to protect. And I have a pawn majority on this side. So knight f5 check. Not terrible, but not the best. Again, like in endgames, you really want to have your rook active. Any endgame with a rook activity is one of the most important things. You want your rook to infiltrate into your enemy's territory, apply as much pressure as you can, and try to get your opponent's rook to be passive. Active versus passive rooks win games. That is how it works. I go king to there because king h7 because I didn't want to go here, even though the computer's recommending it because of something like that. Or like I don't know, I just didn't want it. But seeing here's bringing the rook to the open file. Rook e1. Here I played rook d8 because, yeah, that's just, I mean, I wanted to eventually get my rook like here possibly, just to stop some kind of annoying attacks. h4, I was surprised by h4. I wasn't really quite sure what the purpose of it was. It's kind of like, it's what the computer says. It's inaccurate. It's not following the last few moves of all his pieces. I don't know, maybe he can explain what he was thinking on this, but maybe he wanted to go like h5 and have the idea of mating here eventually, but I play king g6, best move, attacking the knight. He plays knight e7 check. Oh, also, yeah, the idea of back here, me bringing my rook specifically to this square rather than a different one. I wanted to protect this pawn so I can bring my king here. And it would not be taken by the knight. I bring my king to h5, attacking this pawn. Knight f5 by Nathan, best move. And I play king g4. Not a bad move. Says king g6 is better, but I wanted to advance my king into his territory. He played knight g3. And again, it's not a good move. Knight e3 check would have been best, keeping, just gaining tempo on the king and allowing him to defend. But he played knight g3, and I can just take with the bishop. I think he might, I don't know. He might have wanted me to like take here, because then he still would have been a little bit better. Like, well, not better, but he would have been slightly more okay. But I don't think, I don't know. It's just not a good move because it hangs pawns. So I pick up this pawn, doubled pawn. Very hard to defend doubled pawns. And then h5, which just kind of confused me a little more because you're hanging this pawn. I did not take the pawn because, all right, yeah, so here was endgame thing that I talk about. All right, so I didn't want his rook to get back here because then I would likely have to make my rook like pretty passive or bring my bishop back. Actually, bring my bishop back would have been fine because it's on an okay diagonal, but during the game, that was what I was thinking. So bring my bishop here, block his rook from getting back here, and then maybe bring my rook here to really stop his rook from getting back there, and also threaten to take here was my idea. King g2 by Nathan. And rook d7 by me. I was thinking of rook g8, I just didn't feel like doing it. Yeah, I was just following my plan. f3 with check. Not a good move. Well, not a terrible move, but not a great move. Because, computer does not like it. And then I play king g5, which my logic was, well, you're up a pawn. Their knight can't gain tempo on you when you are on this square. It's good. Apparently knight e2 would have been a move that would have helped him a lot, but did not play it. Made a mistake according to the computer, playing d4. And then I make a mistake. That was, what is that, 3 mistakes in a row? Yep, mistake, mistake, and then mistake. I took the knight. I honestly don't think this is that huge of a deal. Because what the heck just happened? Lag. I don't like you very much. That's unfortunate. Can this come back? No? Alright, you know what we're going to do? We're going to reload. Because that is apparently what we have to do to work. Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Alright, so multiple mistakes in a row made here. Mistake with d4, and I could have just taken the hanging d pawn, but
Right, so everyone's getting ready to like wind down now, so lights out by 11 for you. We got up early to run, remember?
anyway, I could have just taken the hanging d pawn, but I decided let's just simplify, and then I took there. Another mistake. Would have been better to just put my rook behind the king, threaten a discovered check, but I just take that. And he could have started to like box my king in, which I was actually scared of for a little while. That was the move I was thinking. I was like, oh, my king is getting stuck, and I'm going to lose pieces. I'm going to lose some of my power. I'm going to have a passive king. But plays rook g1, lets me get away. I go there just because, I think it lets me get away better. It's just what I was doing. Plays rook h4. I don't know. It's a move. I play rook g7 now, putting my rook behind the king to, I don't know, do whatever. And then he plays rook g4 check. I move my king to f7, and then he simplifies and takes the rook. From here, as far as I'm concerned, this is just an easy win because I can just move my king up. He moved to e3, which just makes my job even easier. I moved to f5, just, opposing the king, taking away the squares that I would want to go to. Plays f4, and now I can just start pushing this pawn. He moves to d3, just, again, making it even tighter. And he has to go stop the pawn from promoting, and then I can eat all of his pawns over here. And now it's just, insanely winning. And he was pretty low-ish on time. He was pretty much just pre-moving. That's because he knew he had lost already. So, he just lets me take his pawns. He takes these over here. And I promote to a queen. And I checkmate with the king and the queen. Takes a little bit. Then I just, at the end here, I had mate in 1. I just, decide to make it mate in 2 instead, and there we go. That's checkmate. So, what is this? Alright, so that is the game. I did not play very well because I was not focusing well enough. I mean, I kind of focus more towards this part, but these, my next match is against Rubio, the number 2 ranked player in the tournament. I'm definitely going to have to take that one seriously. His opening repertoire is very annoying to play against. I've played him many times, and I'd say he's got a shot. But if I'm on my game, I should win. But we'll see. And, yeah. Nathan played very well. I played not so well. And next time I'm playing the French against Nathan. I'm not, if I get black. Because I might just play the French overall this tournament against most people besides Rubio, because it's just better. Just a nicer opening. Yep. So, subscribe, lol, watch this video in the corner, maybe, because yes, if that's even there, but if not, subscribe, whatever, I don't care.